If you've been wanting to start your business but aren't sure where to start, this is it. I'm going to help you kickstart your business in just 3 days with the Bookkeeping Biz workshops. That's right, the workshops are back, and this will be the only time I'm hosting them in 2025. I can't believe it's been a full year since we've had these workshops. So if this has been on your vision board, now is the time. We're going live August 18th through the 20th. That's right, just 3 powerful days with one mission: to help you build a bookkeeping business that works for you. Each day we'll meet live virtually for a workshop at 4 p.m. Pacific for about 90 minutes, and every single one is designed to help you take action right away. Here's what we're covering. On day 1, we'll start with what it really takes to run a virtual bookkeeping business, and spoiler, it's probably not what you've been telling yourself. After this session, you'll stop second-guessing your ability to do this and finally feel confident in calling yourself a business owner. On day 2, we're diving into the tech. I know you've probably spent hours Googling tools and comparing software, but this session will help you cut through the noise so you can start simple and grow smart. You'll walk away with a streamlined list of the exact tools you need, nothing more and nothing less. And on day 3, we'll talk about how to create a business, not another job, because you didn't leave your 9-to-5 or dream of leaving just to work more hours for less pay and no benefits. You'll get clarity on the kind of business you want to build, who you want to serve, and how to make sure it supports the life that you want. I'll also share my secrets to holding successful discovery calls without the icky sales tactics, so you can start landing clients as soon as you walk away from these workshops. You'll also get access to our Ambitious Bookkeeper Facebook community to connect with others on the same journey as you, replays for all the sessions, and a daily workbook to help you take immediate action with plenty of resources to help you get started. And it's just $37 to join us. We kick off on August 18th and registration closes August 19th, so don't wait. Head over to bkworkshops.online to grab your ticket. Let's build the business you've been dreaming about together. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through planning your week and planning out your calendar and the work that you do so that if you are feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're trying to manage kids, manage a home life, a side hustle, or a full-blown business like I am, I want to talk about one of the things that has made a huge difference for me, which is my Sunday evening planning ritual. But before I dive into the how-to, I do want to pause and take a moment to talk about something a little bit deeper. If your kids are still young, please soak it up. I know it is easier said than done, and pretty much anyone that you talk to who has older kids, your parents, your grandparents, everyone says it goes by in a blink of an eye, and it truly does. I personally have a 20-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, so I have experienced all of the age ranges when it comes to kids, and what they say actually is true. It goes by so quickly. So while I know you probably want to hustle and build your business and get to where you want to go because you're here, you're listening to the Ambitious Bookkeeper Podcast, you're probably also an ambitious person. And sometimes rituals like this are going to be very, very helpful in helping you take a step back and reprioritize so that you don't get sucked into that hamster wheel of continuing to do more and more and more to reach your goals. So I've been in this situation. If you are feeling this, if you have been here since I started this podcast, what I'm going to talk about today is not necessarily going to be new for you if you've listened from all the way from the beginning, but I'm going to be adding some refreshed takes on some of that content. And if you haven't binge listened to the whole entire podcast, like it's over 200 episodes by this point, so I'm not expecting you to go back and listen to the beginning. But some of those earlier episodes were so, like, the content in them is timeless, and they were such good episodes, but I was just a baby podcaster. So I kind of wanted to redo some of the older episodes with kind of what I've learned so far, some of the things that I still do in practice, and wanted to share those with you today. So let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Ambitious Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm Serena Shoup, CPA, a mom of 3, and I've been running a virtual bookkeeping business from my home since 2017. You are in the right place if you are a bookkeeper, accountant, or an accounting student, and you believe and know in your heart that your purpose is bigger than sitting in a cubicle. If you're ready to learn some actionable tips and strategies for starting and growing your accounting business, then I hope you stick around. Okay, so let's talk about the ritual. And I call this planning ritual a ritual because to me it feels special. It is a part of my self-care. It is part of making sure that I am prioritizing my work and my life according to my values. Because even when we identify our values and we know what we want out of things, sometimes we have to be reminded, and this ritual helps me keep all of that front of mind. And for me, it's a ritual. Whatever you want to call it, you can call it that. But the point is, I want you to carve out time every week. For me, I do this on a Sunday usually, or sometimes a Saturday. It depends on what I have going on the weekend. But I'll take 15 to 20 minutes to map out my entire week so that I don't start the week feeling blindsided. I have the goals that I want to accomplish. I have my priorities outlined, and I've written them down and looked at them and really thought about how I want to spend the week, and also taken into account some of the obligations that I have, whether it's work or family or whatever, and then filling in from there. So what it looks like in a nutshell is I open several tools. I've gotten to the point where now I'm not doing so much client work because I have a team. But if you are doing a lot of client work, I want you to open your project management system, whatever that is. And if you are like me and you also like to have a paper planner, so like at the very beginning, I would open up these 3 tools. I'll just go through it like this, and I'll just kind of talk you through how I've changed things. But I would open up Asana because that's my project management system. It still is today. I would open up my passion planner, and I have it right here. This thing goes with me everywhere, pretty much. Wherever I take my laptop and my work, I bring this with me. I don't carry it in my purse or anything like that. And as you can see in this video, I have this awesome little pen holder that one of my team members made all of us, because we all here at the Ambitious Bookkeeper and at my firm, we all use a passion planner. I've gotten my whole team hooked on it. I pay for them all to get a passion planner either every year if they use the annual one like I do, or passion planner also has a quarterly type planner. And so maybe a couple people on my team have opted for the quarterly planners. They're more of a daily spread. And so I pay for that. It's office supplies. This is helping my team be productive and reach their goals. Therefore, we're reaching the company goals as a whole. So one of our team members made this cool little pen pouch, and she sewed it. And this is my passion planner. So I will link below some sample spreads, I guess, some downloads that Passion Planner has available for download, so you can print them out and kind of practice or just kind of see what it's like to fill it in, because they have different sized planners. This one's the medium one, the one that I use. The very first time I got the Passion Planner, I got the small one because it's like small enough to fit in a purse, but I don't have very small handwriting. So it was really hard to scrunch everything in the spaces. And so you can download their worksheets to see how big your handwriting is and what size would be good for you. So I use the medium one, and there is I'll just pull up a previous week, because as I'm recording this, I actually haven't used my planner in like a week or two because I was on vacation. So I left it at home. That was like the only time I didn't take it with me. But this is some previous weeks. As you can see, it's got a full week spread. I use the Monday to Sunday version. You can do a Sunday to Saturday version. I start my work weeks on Mondays. And so I prefer the Monday to Sunday one, and I buy the dated one. You can also buy an undated planner and write in the dates however you want. So basically it has a week spread. It has a section for this week's focus, good things that happened. It has a section at the top of each day for today's focus. For me, I usually mark which days I have my kids because I have them 50% of the time. And I will usually write people's birthdays at the top. If there's somebody's birthday, I don't want to forget to call them or whatever. I also have all of this in my phone calendar, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Also, there's like cool little quotes and some self-care challenges usually on each week. Then there's a personal to-do list and a work to-do list. And then there's a blank space. It's called the space of infinite possibility. And that's usually where I end up jotting down notes or ideas or whatever comes up throughout the week. Sometimes this is the only paper I have in front of me when I'm on a meeting. So I will write notes from a meeting on it. And yeah, and then there's like ribbons to mark your place. I always buy the tabs so that I can quickly flip between months. And then there's also a monthly calendar at every new month and some various things. All these things are available on the Passion Planner website. So I'm not going to go too far into depth, but in the back, there's also some blank pages and some bulleted pages that you can use. They also started putting in habit trackers at the beginning of the planner. But one of my favorite features is actually the Passion Roadmap. And this is what I do. There's 2 sections in the book where you can do this at the beginning of the year and mid-year. And this is a really great way to just map out your goals. And there's like lifetime goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, and 3-month goals. I love doing that exercise. I love goal setting. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably do too. So get yourself a Passion Planner. All the links will be below this podcast. So that's the first step. I grab my Passion Planner, I open it up to the new week, and I will do this as we're talking. So at the time that I'm recording this, it's the end of July. And I can't believe we're about to be in August, but my kids are going back to school this week. So I will open up this upcoming week spread, and I will open up, like I said before, when I was doing a lot of client work, I would open up Asana. There's not very many tasks for me in Asana anymore, but I still check it every so often. So it's a good idea to, even if you're in a position like me where you have a team, there might be a few tasks assigned to you. Open it up, make sure there's nothing pressing coming up. And it's also a good time to check off all the tasks that you forgot to check off throughout the week. And then if there's any other place that you keep a running list of goals or things that you want to do, like in your notes app or your reminders app, little things that pop up, it's a good idea to open that up as well. And then the other thing is I have a bunch of different calendars. I have Google calendars, I have Apple calendars, but they all sync to my phone. So I always have my phone here during this exercise as well, because I'll pull up my phone to see what appointments and everything I have for the week coming up. So if I were doing this week, I would flip to like the weekly view. If you flip your phone over to the side, it'll show you like a weekly view of your week if you're on an iPhone. And so I will look at what upcoming appointments I have and just start transferring stuff and writing it into my Passion Planner for any kids' activities, appointments that we have, any actual calls I have scheduled on my calendar, and anything like that. I also, in each day, there's time slots. So I will actually write in the time slots that I plan to work out, the time slots that I plan to eat lunch, the time slots where I have to leave to pick up the kids, or whatever that may be, so that you can visually see where everything is at on your calendar and how much actual time you have left to work. So this is when I start kind of looking at my calendar and analyzing, okay, I've got some stuff on my calendar that, like maybe one day, for instance, for me, Thursday looks like a pretty full day. That's also my kids' first day of school. So if I were in a position where that felt overwhelming for me, I would be looking at that and being like, I'm actually looking at it right now and saying, okay, given that I know this is my kid's first day of school, is this realistic for me to be having a call at 9 a.m., a call at 10 a.m., and a call at noon? Oh, and I have another call at like 1:30. Well, they all fall in between the hours of school, so I'm okay with this. But there is one call on here that I could potentially push out further. It's a podcast interview. So this is the work that I do when I sit down to do my ritual is I actually look at what's on my calendar and analyze things like, do I think I'm going to have the energy for all of that day? Do I think I'm going to overdo it? Do I need to reschedule stuff? Or is there stuff on my calendar that I can just flat out cancel? I get aggressive with guarding my time these days. And so I look at each thing on my calendar with that level of scrutiny. So I will go through that and then I will start writing in my calendar all of these things. So I used to be kind of meticulous and I would have a color for all of my kids' appointments and activities, a certain color for my personal stuff like working out or, a sauna appointment or whatever. And then a third color for anything ambitious bookkeeping related, and then a fourth color for anything firm related or client related. Nowadays, I just use whatever pen I have handy because done is better than perfect. So don't get all in your head about having to have a pretty planner. Just use what you have. And honestly, there's sometimes that I actually prefer to just use a pencil because things change. And so I like to be able to erase things. So I write in my non-negotiables into my planner, and that is like things that I'm carving out time for, like working out, kids activities, things like that, and family commitments. And then I'm looking to see what else is in my project management system that's coming due that actually is a non-negotiable. It's a deadline that has to be hit, and I'm putting that in there. And then I'm looking to see, all right, what times do I actually have to work? And through this exercise is where I actually discovered that I was booking myself up for way too many things on my calendar. And I rarely had enough time to actually do client work during the business day. And so I was ending up doing things at night and on the weekends. And if you have never done this exercise and you feel like you never have time to do the actual client work, this might be part of why. So I highly encourage you to do this exercise for a few weeks and let me know what you discover. And so through this process is when I decided to always block off a full day in the middle of the week for deep work. And so for me, that's Wednesday. I also changed my Acuity calendar to only allow appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Fridays, I also don't have available for appointments because I tend to, like, my kids get out of school early on Fridays. I don't like having appointments on Mondays because it gives me anxiety. And so I like to ease into the work week and reserve that day for my own personal appointments or maybe doing some project work or deep work or things that I want to get done. I also have like my guitar lessons on Mondays usually. So Monday's my day. Friday is usually I end up doing some work on Fridays. I just don't take calls and I don't work all day because the kids get out early. So that is how I came up with that schedule, and it's worked out. Nobody has complained about not being able to meet with me very often. So the next thing that I do is after I look at everything that's on my, in my project management system, on my weekly calendar with appointments and all that kind of stuff, I set my main focus. And that's where the beginning of the Passion Planner, where you go through like a goal setting exercise, this is where I set a main focus related to some of those bigger goals. So for instance, right now it's July, it's the end of July. We're about to go into a launch for the bookkeeping biz workshops. And so that's been my main focus for the past several weeks. So any extra time that I get to do any extra work that's not client related or anything that's not urgent, that's been my main focus, is doing launch related stuff. So sending emails to my affiliates and writing emails and refreshing things for the program and things like that. So that's where in the Passion Planner, you can write your main focus up in this corner. So for me, it would be BBW, which is our abbreviation for the Bookkeeping Biz workshops. And yeah, so that's the main focus. And then in the work to-do list down at the bottom and the personal to-do list area, this is where I'm going to be writing the big things in that, like, we're in a sauna that need to get done. For instance, if it's a payroll week, I write down in the work to-do list payroll. And I usually put that on like the Wednesday that it's due as well, up at the top of the planner. Any big tasks or project related things that I need to focus on go in that to-do list. So the main focus, for instance, this week is the launch, but there are some subtasks within that I would have written down, but I've done already. But like one of them is refresh the emails that go out. So it would be like emails. And then for this upcoming week, one of those task lists is going to be refreshing the slides, because I'm not redoing the content, but I am refreshing the content. We are condensing it into 3 days and making each workshop a little bit longer. So I'm moving some of the content around, and I need to carve out time to work on those slides, probably like a full day. The next thing that I do is, sometimes I do this earlier on, actually, before I even write everything in, but I will look back at the previous week in that like little work to do section. And last week I was on vacation, so there's nothing there. But down in the work to do list from a previous week, I have 2 things that aren't checked off, but I actually did. But if they had not been done, they wouldn't be checked off. And what I would do is I learned this a long time when I was learning how to do like bullet journaling, or I think that's what it was called, where if you carry over a task, you just put an arrow to the right, meaning like I didn't do it this week, but I'm going to do it next week, and then you put it on the new list. So that's usually what I do. I carry over anything that didn't get done from the previous week that still needs to be done, or I look at that last week and say, okay, do I actually still need to do that? If not, I'm just going to cross it off. So that's the next thing that I do. And the last thing pretty much that I do is we kind of already went over this, but just a reality check on your schedule. Look at how much time you actually have versus how much time you actually want to work. And this is the thing that's going to keep you from overloading your weeks and overcommitting to things. This whole process is what keeps me realistic and grounded and following my goals and my priorities. Yes, we have to continuously reprioritize as business owners. My eyes, probably like yours if you're ambitious, are often much bigger than your actual capacity, especially if you have kids at home. And then one other thing that I want to touch on is the idea of, and you get this whole like bonus training inside of my program when you join. It's how to get 20 extra hours in your week. But the short version of that is, this is the methodology that I used when I was studying for the CPA exam in order to add up 20 hours a week in studying while I was working full time and had a kid at home. So not this planning part that we're talking about, but what I'm about to say right now is, if you work a full-time job and you're like, okay, Serena, like this is great. You were able to like plan out exactly how you want your days to go. And like you get to decide how much time you have left and all that good stuff. Yes, that's something to look forward to when you go full-time in your business. But if you're not there yet and you are starting this as a side hustle right now and you're wondering like, when the heck am I actually going to have time to build a business so that I can leave my job? The truth of the matter is, you are going to have to make a sacrifice. Just like when I was studying for the CPA exam, I had to make sacrifices. I did not have a social life. Like very rarely did I ever agree to go do anything socially, because what I did was I woke up an hour earlier than normal every single weekday and got in an hour worth of studying before my daughter got up and was getting ready for school. And then I studied for an hour on my lunch break at work every day. So there's 2 extra hours each day that if you really want to do this and make this happen, you can add into your day. And then the other thing that I did is I studied for 2 hours every evening. And so if you have a full-time job after your kids go to bed, if you don't have kids, great. This will be a lot easier for you. After work, you spend 2 more hours doing something that is going to drive you toward starting this business or gaining clients or working on client work if you have clients already. Then I also would carve out several hours on each weekend day. So yes, you are going to have to make a sacrifice somewhere. And it's worth it if you really want to build a business where you can replace your corporate income. So that's the methodology that I used for studying for the CPA exam. I ended up adding 20 extra hours to my week, not like technically, but in this process, 2 hours or an hour each morning, an hour at lunch. So that's 2 hours a day for 5 days. That's 10 hours a week. And then 2 hours every evening. That's another 10 hours. That doesn't even include weekends. So if you have some days where it's a little less, then you can make up for it by working for a few hours on the weekends to get where you want to go in your business. All that being said, this is not something that I am perfect at, and I don't expect you to be perfect at it. It's a constant, like I said, like there's weeks in here where I have nothing on the calendar. I don't do this religiously every week, but when I do, I notice the difference. I'm much more prepared for the week coming up. I've adjusted my schedule to really align with my priorities and my goals, and it makes me feel way more in control of my time and where things are headed. So if you try your own Sunday or Saturday or whatever day you decide to do this on ritual, or if you already have a similar system in place, I want you to hop on over to Instagram and share it with me. I'm at Ambitious Bookkeeper. I'd love to see how you make this process your own and how quickly it propels you towards your goals and aligns you with your values. So until next week, take a deep breath, plan with intention, and I want you to give yourself permission to create space for the moments that we just can't get back. So plan your weeks accordingly and work it around your priorities, your family, your values. And I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you to everyone who helps make this podcast possible. Content and interviews are produced by me, Serena Shu. Our intro and outro music is written and performed by my brother, Ian Gilliam. Editing is also by Ian using his awesome sound engineering skills along with Descript software. Hosting and publishing is by Buzzsprout. And you can check out the show notes for links to all of these amazing resources and resources mentioned in the episode.
Be ambitious.
Hey, bookkeeper friend, ever wish you could binge only the podcast episodes you need right now? Whether you're diving into advisory work, looking for quick Q&A wins, or craving a little student spotlight inspiration, I've got you. We've curated themed Spotify playlists for the Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast, so you can skip the scroll and get straight to what matters. Tap into strategy sessions, leadership gems, and more at ambitiousbookkeeper.com/Spotify. Pop in your earbuds and hit play on your next big move.